start. I wasn't even ready. That sucks. All right, so let's pretend that part didn't happen. Okay. I was watching the guy that was the singer of The Darkness. His name is Justin Hawkins, and he performed at the big Taylor Hawkins big memorial show for the Foo Fighters. And there was some weirdness that happened over there, but they cleared it up between the singer of AC/DC and Justin Hawkins. Apparently, Johnson wanted him to do it, and so he was a little late to showing up at his cue. So then, when he had shown up, he didn't even have a microphone. So that's why if you watch on Paramount, they have the full concert. That's why it looks like he's trying to take the microphone away from the singer of AC/DC, which of course no one should ever do that. But it was because they didn't have a live mic ready for the poor guy. And in order for, Bon Scott or Johnson to do his style of the AC/DC style of singing, you have to be very close to your microphone. You really gotta grab it by the back and then shove it, because it's really hard to make those kinds of sounds. And when you do, you want as much volume as possible. And so I noticed Justin has his own show, and he at least has a theme song. So from now on, when you see the starting soon button, it's going to basically play something along the lines of basically something along the lines of this, like. Okay, hello. I'm Useless Agent, and welcome to the show. This is STS, as we try to do this every day. I'm sorry, we've been falling behind the last couple of days. Simply due to a lot of problematic things happened. I told you guys about me being hacked and my credit card being hacked and all that stuff, so I've been dealing with a lot of crap. And so also having trouble reaching my kids because I have a new cell phone. It's just everything all, when it rains it pours. And so when one thing goes wrong, I kind of have a tendency to sit back and just wait for the rest to go wrong too, because that's what's going to happen. It's inevitable. And something I really wanted to mention, because I'm not sure if I have a problem or not, but I think I'm gaining an addiction. And this happens to me every Halloween season. Every Halloween season. No, it's not drugs. Well, it's technically a drug. Caffeine is a drug, But, my addiction is definitely not that. My addiction has become Count Chocula. I don't know when this really started. As a kid, I never got Count Chocula as a kid. And so as an adult, I make damn sure that I get Count Chocula all throughout the Halloween season. And then you can buy the actual Count Chocula. You can buy plenty of them over on Amazon. I think Walmart.com sometimes has it. Point is that they're no longer because when I was a kid, Count Chocula was a year-round cereal, and now it's Frankenberry, Booberry, and this Fruit Brute is amongst the Count Chocula family of seasonal cereals, which to me is crazy talk. I want my cereal all year round. So, as I always do within the first 5 minutes of every show, I have my celebratory Maiden Voyage bowl. I told you guys I recently gotten a little 3-footer, and we all love the 3-footers, the 2-footers, even the 1-footers are good. Everyone likes to have their own bong. My thing is that bongs that tend to be um, bongs that tend to be more than a foot tend to really just be there for show. I noticed that you're not gonna go crazy over a bong that barely hits, or that you have to carry it all the way over there. You have to have a second person light it for you because it's not gonna fucking reach. It's you gotta like monkey paw it, so you use your feet to hold the bowl or the actual post and the foundation. You use that to hold it up, and then you're lighting it from so far away. It's a pain in the ass. So it's really cool when your friends are around, but other than that, you're never gonna use it. I was a pot dealer for a little while. Not so much a dealer, but I was a runner. Uh, I used to tend to a lot of pot dealers, and I always made friends with my pot dealers, and it got to a point where I started running errands for some, and you know, one guy was a total dick, and I'm sure he knows who he is. He was a complete dick, and I would help him with his laundry. I had a schedule, and then so I'd go to his house. I had his keys, and so he'd have a list of deliveries I gotta make, and then little things on the side, like he needed this, basket of clothes he needed cleaned or some shit like that. And he would leave the quarters out. So I would take care of this shit. Occasionally clean the house and stuff. And I basically worked for free bud. I mean, I wasn't doing too much. I'd get a decent amount back. But I'll tell you, man, when you are out and you're sending out you're sending yourself out and you're selling or delivering pot, you will meet the strangest damn people in your life. And Half Baked, when they try to describe each kind of smoker, he's definitely right. There are those types of smokers, but there's also about 25 other types of smokers. So I would meet there's usually like a cool couple that has like 5 friends, like all in college, and they got the 3-foot bongs with the, all fiberglass, so they spent over $200 on these things. And, all power to them. But in the end, when I went back home and I smoked with my friends, a simple single hand bowl right here, just your regular types of bowls here, that was just as good as any bong or anything else. And we used to have one that was so gorgeous. It was a black and white one that was striped, and we named her Whoopi. And just this gorgeous thing. And I loved smoking on that thing, but even that, it was heavy. It was kind of like a vase, so it was very nice to have on the mantle, but takes a lot of upkeep. I don't like my bongs to smell like old bong water. I don't like to taste any of that crap. So there is a lot of upkeep, and then we had another one that I named Green Day, and we had tons of different ones. We also tried to start a pretty sad business that was going to be like a Build-A-Bear workshop. It was called Build-A-Bong Workshop, and you just sent in whatever you wanted, and we would make a bong out of it. You just tell us what part of it did you want to smoke out of, and then we would build a bong. And so, Build a Bong Workshop was one of the funnest ventures that my brother and I did. And I think our business lasted about 2 sales, and that was about it. You give up on those ventures pretty damn fast because you run out of ideas. But we had literally, in the beginning, it's like starting a sketch comedy show. You start off, you got all these ideas, but once you think you got hundreds of ideas, really you got about 15. So once those got used, oh my goodness, it's Christian Martinez. Great to see you again. I hope you're enjoying the topic right now. So, you know, um, Build a Bong Workshop was our baby, and we really wanted more people because living in Chicago, there's plenty of pot smokers. I mean, we were pro marijuana before there was pro marijuana, um, and we did what we want. Yes, we're talking about bongs. We had one that was made out of a chair. No joke, it was just a chair. And so everybody would come over to the apartment because they wanted to try out the special chair. And what it was basically a chair you sat down on, and we had a special compartment where you put your bud and you light it up, and you had this little tube, and you just smoke out of the chair, man, and literally you never have to get up. It was so you had a compartment for the actual bud, and then you had the then we had the actual bowl attached to the chair. It was ridiculous, but we would do anything like that. And we really got the idea from the whole the MacGyver smoker scene from Half Baked. If you've ever seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. And so I was pro marijuana agenda when it came to legalization, not just for medical use but for recreational use. We were fighting this fight even when I remember I stopped smoking for a little while. There was a couple of years where I wasn't smoking anymore. I mean, I would here and there, but it wasn't really. It started making me paranoid. But what I never stopped doing was, even though I was going to bars all the time, I would still tell you that marijuana is 1,000 times safer than any drink is, and that's a fact, because no matter how involved I was with the marijuana community, and B, its legalization, and that community, which are two not necessarily the same. Um, you have the legalizers, the ones that really take hemp seriously, and these are the type of people that, like, not only do they want pot legalized recreationally and medically, but I mean they are super marijuana advocates, and I thank them every day, because I think without them we wouldn't have gotten this far. And the fact that it's still federally illegal but it's legal by state, I think is just the biggest cop out that this country continues to do. I don't know. Am I alone in that? You guys think so? I just think that's such a cop out. If you're gonna make it legal, make it legal. Stop filling up our jail cells with guys, you know, that you caught at a Taco Bell. These guys weren't hurting anyone. I mean, have you ever seen? There's a great Bill Hicks jokes about. Have you ever seen a traffic or road rage coming from a pothead? Now I have, but that's not the point. The point is, 99.9% of the time, you will not see that. And I love the idea of marijuana being mandatory because, yeah, when I see some of the road rage fights in the highways and expressways, it's hilarious. Now, I wanted to mention this again because I seriously think I'm having a problem. Okay? Here's 2 boxes of Count Chocula. I'm going to keep that up there. Here's another box. Okay? We got 3 boxes of Count Chocula. In that, I have 4 and I have 5. So I have 5 boxes of Count Chocula that I've gone through this week, and I am really starting to believe maybe I have a problem. I'll tell you one thing, it's really not, if you're on any kind of diet, I definitely don't recommend that. If you do, definitely take some sort of laxatives or something like that, because you not only grow constipated, but you get kind of sick from it. I have to take a break every now and then. So, we've been off the last couple of days. Christian, I'm not sure if you've caught us 3 days ago, I want to say. We did the last one 3 days ago. Yesterday, we did not do a show. The day before that, we did not do a show. I was nowhere near my television because everything was focused on the Prince Charles now being King Charles. I mean, we've been making fun of this moment since the really early 80s and still making fun of it through the 90s, especially the early 90s. If you watch The Critic, which is one of my favorite shows, that had John Lovitz, it was a cartoon and it was really good. They used to make fun of him constantly trying to poison her or something like that. It was just funny. But another reason why I really want to stick on or stick with STS and keep doing this is because of people like Christian Martinez. And honestly, we're 1 day away from the 21st anniversary of 9/11. So I did want to do an episode on that because it's different for so many generations. Now we have generations where they have no clue what that day felt like. And the people that we saw in the footages, if you watch Loose Change or even the 9/11 specials that you'd see on TV, every one of those people now are 22 years older. They're 21 years older. So, some people aren't there anymore, and I found that very suspicious. But we're gonna tackle into all of that tomorrow, because that's why I made a little joke saying, bring your tinfoil hats, because I tend not to hold back, and if something is bullshit, it's bullshit, and I'm just going to point out little things. I'm not trying to start anything aggressive or violent. I don't like arguing. I love debating. I don't like arguing because arguing takes emotion. Debate takes facts and knowing that you're right. And so it takes, you know, a debate can be proven, one side or the other can be proven right or wrong. And so I don't consider people that just cut you off and go about what their point of view is. I don't consider that a debate. That is a one-sided argument. A debate is when each party listens to the other party. Excuse me, guys. And no matter what, the party that shuts down and does not want to hear anymore tends to be the one that has the weakest evidence. Because when you talk to certain people that know more about something, they want to continue talking. Whereas you can really see where people lie in terms of what side are they on, because they don't want to hear it. If they say they don't want to hear it, okay, they're against it. But it brings me to my point of what I wanted to talk about today, which is ignorance and stupidity. Two very different things that people constantly coincide with each other. They assimilate each other, and they are nothing alike. You know, ignorance is not stupidity. That's very different. So, my favorite way of doing it, my favorite way of explaining it is simple. I always taught my daughter, ignorance is I don't know. And stupidity is I know, but I don't care. That is stupidity at its finest. And people that are ignorant towards a subject, I know when I'm the first to say it. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I will say I have limited information on this. So I'll say, my opinion of this only goes as far as I know. And that's how you build an opinion. You build an opinion by what your knowledge of the subject is, not based on your emotion. Again, the whole point of debate versus arguing is very similar between ignorance and stupidity. They're very similar things because, if you get slapped in the face, and every time someone says, hey, I'm not going to slap you in the face, and you get slapped in the face, the second time, he says, I'm not going to slap you in the face, you're going to block it. That's because you are no longer ignorant towards the slap that was coming behind it. Now, if you just did it again and get slapped, you're freaking stupid. Because you knew that slap was coming. You did that already. The person did this already. You knew that slap was coming, but you didn't care. And that in itself becomes very, very worrisome, because when you have a general public that simply does not understand the very difference of the two, you have yourself idiocracy. And I don't just mean the Mike Judge film. I mean literal idiocracy. You're gonna have a system of of idiocy. I'm sorry, not ignorance. So my initial point was that I just can't stand when people are corrected and they don't go home and say, wow, I stand corrected. That ability to be so stubborn that you will continue a belief even though you've been proven wrong in front of you. You're the only one that matters. it doesn't matter if you're being proven wrong in front of one person or in front of 20 people. The only person I care about being wrong in front of is me, because I like to spout the shit I know. And if I don't know something, yeah, I want to learn about it, or I want to see what didn't I know. And there are plenty of subjects, you know, that I can dive into where I know, you know, a little bit about the topic at hand, but I can bullshit my way through half of it. Now, that is not really a talent, because being a mile wide and an inch deep, in my opinion, that's great, because at least you know a little bit about everything. But at the same time, you don't want to be a shallow person when it comes to your knowledge, you know? um, it's bad enough people are shallow enough in the way that they handle things and the way that they see themselves and others. But to be shallow minded is, I don't know, that's a pretty easy problem to solve, I would assume. You have, you know, the greatest and worst invention in your pocket at all times. You know, the greatest and worst invention ever made, the cell phone. You know, back when we had the Kyoceras and the Nokias, it was starting to go crazy for police. The only people that really had a problem with was like FBI and police, because people were constantly buying these little burners and just throwing them out. What they weren't, you know, there's a lot of valuable information on those things, and you know, for the rest of us, the poor people, we were pretty damn happy those things came out, because finally we can just text or call somebody. But now it's a very destructive thing to have in your pocket, because it can give you all the answers in the world and all the wrong answers in the world. So you either get information, misinformation, or disinformation. And I just signed up for the information. Like, it sucks that you have to read something, see if it makes sense, put it through your own litmus test, and then maybe you can decide on whether or not you're going to accept this as a fact. And this has been the way it has been for the last 20 years. Now, 20 years before that, before the internet became big, we also hey Christine, good to see you on YouTube. I'm surprised you're awake. So now let's remember, before the internet, before the BS of the internet, we had our textbooks, and our textbooks did not supply us with 100% fact. I have read multiple things in my history textbooks, um, that I would be in a lot of trouble for, because I would have a book that would say the very opposite, or I would mention a story the very opposite. And so Christine is saying, thank goodness for fact checking websites. Am I right? Yeah, that's another thing. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's also another thing. It's like, we used to be able to accept things as facts, and then you have, like, now you have. But my point is that when we first accepted things as facts, they weren't always facts. And then now you have fact checking websites, as she mentions, and yes, we do have those. The only problem is people are picking and choosing their own facts, and that's something you just can't do. You cannot, you know, facts are not open for interpretation. They never have been, they never will be. A fact is a fact. Philosophy is a collection of universal truths, and people will debate that. And people will debate how many bones are in the human body. People will argue about the world being flat. And so that shows the three different kinds of information that we get. And it's always been a world of alternative truths, as Christine just pointed out. It's always been that way. You had, yeah, I do remember that. That was, I believe that was Kellyanne Conway that really coined that term, or alternative facts, I think she was saying. No, there are no alternative facts. A fact is a fact. And then the problem is you have to always remember that that good old quote by Napoleon: "History is written by the winners." So for decades we believe one thing, and then when we get that, opposing information, we become we feel disenfranchised. I feel like we are disenfranchised. I feel like when you have me reading textbooks that are literally telling me the history of my country or my planet that I've been on, you have, which is only what, I think it's 0.6 and then a 2. So 0.000002% of the actual history of Earth. So it's really strange how when it comes to human history, that's where it gets very mucky. And I think the reason for that is because history is written by the winners. So you have one person writing down what really happened, and then you have what we want you to think happened. And unfortunately, this is not a tinfoil hat theory. This is simply propaganda, and propaganda has been a huge machine and a huge has been a huge spoke of in the wheel, and we are always going to be subject to that. I don't think that's going to stop anywhere. Another thing I wanted to talk about, or you know what? One thing that I did not want to talk about at all was this thing with Chris Pine and Harry Styles. If that kid spit on that dude, Pine should have gotten up and, at least Will Smith him. Bitch slap him right off the seat. But maybe that's what held him back. I don't know. I can't believe I'm talking about this. But I remember getting on Facebook yesterday, 2 days ago, and all of this stuff about the Queen and her death, and it's been too much for me. I would really love the idea of, oh, Chris, you don't know what I'm talking about. Apparently at the at the Venus Film Festival, Harry Styles is going up this little row to sit at the aisle seat. Beside him, to his right, is Chris Pine, and to his right is, I believe, Olivia Wilde. And there is footage of him puckering his lips. You get a very quick shot of what seemed to be spit. And while Chris Pine is laughing, he stops and kind of looks at his hand. And I do believe he was spit on. There's this huge, I guess we will call it a debate on this, because there's no clear answer yet. Some people said that wasn't spit. Some people said it was gum. Some people said it was an inside joke. Some people said it wasn't. So we're going to have to wait for this to all pop out. But this is just a weird subject to begin with. Um, as I was talking, yeah, right. I'll get back on point. So my point was, I don't remember when we ever cared about the Queen, especially when it came down to, um, again, if you want to put your tinfoil hat on, go ahead. But if you really look at the bloodline of the Windsor family, you'll realize their name isn't even Windsor. So I just don't want to hear about the Queen. I really don't. The woman had a lot of influence on a lot of terrible things that happened in our history. And so, yeah, it, I honestly wish that when it comes to the Chris Pine and the Styles thing, I really would. That is in a vacuum. That is our society right now. That is our society. You know, the two most important things going on in our country right now is something that somebody else's family's going through, the fucking royal family. And yes, they're German. They are not Windsor. They have a German last name. And there's, with all the incest and with all the, incestual background that they have, and the people that they are actually related to go back from Nazis to just some of the most evil people to have ever existed. And so our two main things that we care about is Chris Pine getting spit on by Harry Styles, or the other guy from London, Prince Charles, now becoming king. And it would have been funny if he got so excited that he just died right there on the spot and had a heart attack. That would have been the funniest damn thing. Only a Brit would actually come up with something dry like that. It would have been the perfect dry humor to end the monarch with a bang like that. That would be hilarious. The matriarch, I guess I should say. So, personally, I can't stand Harry Styles. Personally, and this is my problem with Harry Styles is really because he used the song by the Beatles. He used the song Michelle. My sister's name is Michelle because of that song. Now, personally, I want to name my daughter Misery after a Beatles song, or name her Aurora after a Foo Fighters song. But my sister was named because of Rubber Soul's. Sorry, Michelle was on Rubber Soul, wasn't it? I believe it was. Yeah, I don't think it was on Hard Day's Night. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm right. So Rubber Soul being one of my favorite albums of all time, from having songs like "You Won't See Me" to "In My Life," and of course songs like "Michelle." These songs, just like when Michael Jackson had sold off Beatles music to sell Pepsi, and they were using the song "Evolution" and or "Revolution," right away Paul McCartney had said, we didn't write Revolution to sell fucking shoes or Pepsi. We wrote that song about actual having a fucking revolt, like an actual revolution. And so the fact that Harry Styles had used the song Michelle to hawk his disgusting looking pajama clothes that he wears, I mean, to each their own. If you have a sense of style, cool. Sometimes I'm jealous of it. I know I've always been a jealous guy about the old punk rock days, because like some of the guys had some cool shit. That did. No, that happened before he died. Um. So yeah. So tomorrow, on Sunday, we're gonna be doing the 9/11 show, and I'm really not sure how to go about it, and I'm very close to not getting on the topic because of what may happen. I don't know. Um, but as for Christine, as for your question about that, no, it was definitely before Michael died. Um, it was definitely before because I remember it was I want to say in '98 or '99 he said that. But again, I'm really excited to do the episode, but the only problem I'm having is how to go about it respectfully, and I'm not trying to step on anyone's shoes. I'm not trying to piss anyone off on purpose. I really just want to kind of point out the fact that this has been the biggest thing to happen to us. Um, to this day, it's the biggest thing to happen to our country, and it's something that we can't talk about together. We just never can. You can't bring it up at the dinner table. You can't bring it up um, really anywhere because there's always going to be another side. And really, the question that I still have bothering me all this time, the biggest question I've always had was just why? Like, what really got solved? Or what really changed besides the Patriot Act and besides the American politics that were changed that very week? After all was said and done, was it worth the amount of people? And it's just it's heartbreaking. And if you were there and you're old enough to remember just going to school that day, you remember how twisted everything was, and the whole day felt like a dream for me. I felt like I still hadn't woken up because I just could not believe what was happening was actually happening. And we will be focusing on that tomorrow. And so we'll start the show between the normal times, probably around 1 or 12. Thanks a lot, Chris, for joining us. We appreciate you. Um, it's a lot to take on, and it's a lot to take on for a little show like ours. Um, I will start having those guests on the show as soon as possible. I'm just still working things out with the actual library because we need the office. We need the seclusion and the room to be ourselves. And it's not going to be a good show if we can't just be ourselves. And you guys are the reason why I do this. And so if you guys can't, you know, be yourselves, then I wouldn't even want to have this. But the fact is, we're all doing this together. So, like I said, tomorrow we're going to be doing that. It might be I'm actually thinking about doing like an extra hour just to see what happens. But I think today was good for what it was. And again, this was my way of saying I'm sorry about last week or this week and missing the last 2 days. So taking my 2 days off and using them for this. So yep, that has been my 45 minutes for this one. Just want to tell you guys thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate all the support we get from you guys, and especially on YouTube. The emails you can always send over to uselessagentmusic@gmail.com, and send us your emails, your thoughts on what we should be doing, what we should be talking about. We accept everybody's emails, and I read every one of them. So don't forget to use the email to contact us. Give us some, whatever you want. Feedback. You want to curse me out? Whatever you want. I don't care. I'll be reading it. And for those that feel lonely, for those that truly feel alone, this last this last 30% of a decade has been really hard and emotionally exhausting, because the fact is we were shoved in our own homes and forced to stay inside for so long that it screwed up our point of views. It made us believe shit that we normally wouldn't believe. It made us into people that we didn't want to be. At least I hope that you didn't want to be. But most of all, I think it has changed our views on each other, where it's not just, how it was in the 60s with segregation, how it was in the 50s with segregation, how it was in South Africa with segregation. And I'm not just talking about black. I'm talking about black, brown, yellow, and I'm a WAP, and we didn't fit in, and Hispanics. I love everybody, and I hate everybody exactly the same. I know the Muslims are getting the worst of it, and it's horrible, because I knew, just like I'll tell you tomorrow, I went to a school that had a lot of Muslim kids, and seeing them picked on really pissed me off. But also, going to that school and meeting so many of them, it was just a cool culture shock, because I got to see that some of them were fucking metalheads, some of them were punk rockers, some of them didn't care. Not everyone that has not everyone that has like I don't know, a strict religion. Not everyone is super religious, so you meet some really cool people, like Jews that tend not to be religious Jews. Some of them are just absolutely hysterical. I had 3 friends that were all non-religious Jews, non-practicing Jews, and they were just fucking awesome, just hilarious. But then again, to me, anybody with an open mind is awesome. Yeah, so for those that honestly feel alone, and honestly feel like they're not sure where their next smile is going to come from, not sure if they're going to want to eat, not sure if they're going to want to do anything other than leave this planet, please, please, please remember, you're not alone. We've been stuck here for a long time. Try going out more. Personally, I have trouble finding my own circle of friends, because I go to bars and I make friends with a lot of people, and then the problem is that I had a few when I talked to the person, so I'm more open to different kinds of personalities, and then when I find out that I don't actually like this person, I right away blame the liquor. But it's really hard to find a circle of friends now. Everybody is online, and everybody's got their own little corner of the internet, but nobody has like a crew anymore. Like I rarely see people walking in more than couples. there's usually two. You know, when I was 12, you know, I had six people with me at all times. You know, when I was 16, I had, you know, 30 people I can hang out with, you know, at all times. And I notice on my phone, just going through it, I have about 3 people that I can actually call at any time. And it's a lot to take in to know that it's not what it used to be. And for some of you, you didn't have a what it used to be. It's just what you have dealt with your whole life, and for that, I'm extremely um, sorry. You know, I don't pity you, but that sucks, and nobody should have to be used to that. So, I want to thank you guys for spending time with me. Just know that I'm always listening, so if you're late to the show and you watch it on a rerun, that's awesome. Just send us some comments. Send us anything. We love reading it. I love reading it. And other than that, yeah, I will definitely see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for the love. And as always, I will catch you guys on the other